Hi, boys and girls. This is Nona, and I'm a naturalist with Dana Wharf Whale Watching. And while we're all staying safe inside, I hope you're doing some fun things with your project. I've been working on this puzzle. When I'm not studying whales, I love Dodger baseball, and I'm trying to put together a puzzle of Dodger Stadium. I'm also doing a lot of reading. And right now I'm rereading a book that I really like, all about gray whales. And so today I thought I'd just talk a little bit about our gray whales. So while we're staying safe inside right now, just a couple of miles from my house out there in the Pacific Ocean, these gray whales, Excryptius robustus, their scientific name, are making their long migration back up to the Arctic waters. So here's a little bit about the gray whale quickly. The gray whale spends 4 to 5 summer months up in the cold Arctic waters above Alaska, in the Bering Sea and the Chukchi Sea, and there with the sun pointed, the North Pole pointed toward the sun, boys and girls, it's the land of the midnight sun, so that it never gets dark. And there's photosynthesis taking place all the time. And these animals are eating around the clock. They say they can eat as much as 1,000 pounds of food a day. I bet they don't do that every day. And then as the angle of the sunlight gets lower and lower on the horizon and the days get shorter, it kicks in their biological clock. They know it's time to get out of there. Not because the water's too cold, but if that water freezes over, they're gonna drown. These animals are a mammal like you and I, and they have to get their oxygen from the air. So they leave the Arctic and they begin the longest migration of any animal on the earth, at least 6,000 miles down to the warm, shallow lagoons off of Baja, California. In particular, they go to Scammons Lagoon, San Ignacio Lagoon, Magdalena Bay, all the way around Cabo, and they spend about 5 to 7 weeks down there. The main reason they go is to give birth to their young. If those babies were born in that cold water, they would die because they haven't got enough blubber insulation yet. We now know that about half of those babies are born before they ever get down to Mexico. But then after about 5 to 7 weeks, the males are usually the first to leave and begin the northern migration back, while the mothers and the babies are living together down in those lagoons, and the babies are learning from their moms how to spy hop and how to breach, and they're feeding. They feed on their mother's rich milk, which is 53% fat. And they say they can gain anywhere from 30 to 70 pounds a day. Now they need to do that so that they have the blubber, which will insulate them, as well as give them the nourishment they need to make the endurance for that long, long trip back up to Alaska. By the time they get back to Alaska, the babies will be done nursing from their moms and they'll be ready to feed in those Arctic waters. Now, our baleen whale is the only baleen whale that does this. It doesn't eat krill. It doesn't eat from the main food column or up in the water. It goes down to the bottom of the ocean. We call that the benthic region on the ocean floor. And it either rolls on its right side or rolls on its left side, and it plows the ocean floor. So it eats the kinds of things you'd find on the ocean bottom, like different types of crabs and crustaceans and tube worms and flatfish. So it plows across the bottom, closes its mouth, thrusts that tongue to the top, and the water comes out and the food gets caught behind its baleen. So again, the baleen whale is the only baleen whale that feeds off the bottom. The baleen whale has its own barnacles that live on its body. These barnacles won't grow anyplace else. You can't take them off and put them in the tide pool. They won't grow there. There's a symbiotic relationship between the whale and the barnacles. And it's a commensalism relationship, which means the whale's the host and it doesn't mind that the barnacles are there. And the barnacles get a free ride, and those little barnacles can lift their feathery arms up and filter plankton and eat the whole time this whale's traveling north to south, south to north. The gray whale also doesn't have a tall dorsal fin like some whales do. Instead, it's got these ridges called dorsal ridges down the back, or sometimes we call them knuckles because they look just like our knuckles. Now, these baleen whales can live about the same age as most humans do, anywhere from 70 to 80 years old. And here's a fact I learned from our Captain Tommy that I love. If you were a gray whale and you lived to be 80 years old and you migrated 12,000 miles a year, that would be like going from the Earth to the moon, back to the Earth, back to the moon, and back to earth again. Just ponder that, boys and girls. These animals are amazing. Bye.